When you look at a company's financial forecast, do you just see the numbers, or do you see the strategy behind them? Today, we're diving into Iridium's 2026, and on the surface, things look, well, a little flat. But is this a sign that they're stalling out, or is it actually the quiet before a massive strategic launch? Let's get into it.
Think about it. For pilots, for maritime crews, for national security, Iridium is that lifeline. It's the connection that has to work when absolutely nothing else will. So, when the company that is that connection puts out a financial forecast that makes you go, you have to ask, what is really going on with their flight path for 2026?
Okay, so let's start with the official numbers, the ones that got everyone talking. This is the top-line guidance that Iridium shared for the full year 2026.
And, yep, here they are. After a pretty solid 2025, the guidance for 2026 service revenue is basically flat. We're talking 0 to 2% growth. But the part that really jumps out is the operational EBITDA, or OEBDA, which is a big deal for profitability, is actually projected to drop from about $495 million down to somewhere between $480 and $490 million. That's not exactly the kind of growth you expect to see.
This really is the million-dollar question, isn't it? Flat revenue, a dip in profits. As this massive satellite company finally hit a wall? Is the big growth story over? Well, as it turns out, the answer is way more interesting than a simple yes or no.
See, here's the key. 2026 isn't just another year for Iridium, it's a transitional year. And to really get what's going on, you have to peel back the layers on those headline numbers.
And here is the first major piece of the puzzle. That drop in profitability? It's almost entirely because of an accounting change. The company's just shifting how it pays out employee bonuses to an all-cash system. On paper, that creates a one-time hit of about $17 million. So what's crucial here is that the core business isn't actually getting less profitable. This is all just a planned financial move.
So if you mentally adjust for that compensation change, the underlying business is actually pretty stable. But stable isn't the real story. The real story is that 2026 is the year Iridium is planting some serious seeds for its next decade of growth. And that means going all in on a new wave of products.
All right, so let's get to the exciting part. Let's see how they're actually building that future. We're moving from the financials to the tech, the actual hardware and services that Iridium is betting will redefine their business.
First on the list is a little device that's set to be an absolute game changer for the Internet of Things, or IoT. We're talking about connecting all sorts of devices and sensors literally anywhere on the planet. And this thing is brilliant. It's not just a satellite modem. The 9604 module crams 3 different technologies into one tiny little package. You get Iridium's global satellite link, a standard cellular connection, and a GPS receiver for positioning. It's the whole shebang, all in one.
So why does that matter? Well, if you're a company building trackers for shipping containers or monitoring remote pipelines, this is huge. It makes your design process way simpler, it slashes your hardware costs, and it gets your product on the market so much faster. It's all about unlocking these huge IoT projects that used to be too complex or expensive. And it's coming in June of 2026.
This second big launch is going after a completely different but just as critical market, and that is secure positioning, navigation, and timing, or PNT for short.
And to give you an idea of just how small this thing is, it's only 8 millimeters by 8 millimeters. That's smaller than a dime. This tiny size is the whole key. It's what will let them put this powerful technology into millions of new devices. So what does it do? This little chip gives you a timing and location signal that is totally separate from GPS and is incredibly hard to jam or fool. Think about self-driving cars, drones, or even critical infrastructure. They all need a reliable sense of time and place. This chip provides a powerful, secure backup. And with over 100 companies already lining up to check it out before its launch in July 2026, you can tell this is a massive new opportunity.
Okay, the third pillar of this 2026 strategy is a brand new service. And this one is all about expanding Iridium's reach beyond just specialized gear and into the consumer world. Iridium NTN Direct is a different beast. Instead of proprietary tech, it's built on the same global 3GPP cellular standard that your smartphone uses. This means any company making chips can now easily build Iridium's satellite network right into their products. It opens the door for direct-to-device messaging on a scale we just haven't seen before. And you guessed it, this is also rolling out in 2026.
Okay, so we've got 3 major launches on deck. But what does all this mean for the bottom line? This is where that transitional year in 2026 starts to look less like a stall and more like a brilliant strategic setup.
Let's just put this number out there.
$200 million. Now, this isn't a stock price or a company valuation, it's a target.
That's right. This is the annual revenue Iridium believes these new products, the ones launching in 2026, are going to be generating by the year 2030. All of a sudden, that flat guidance for 2026 makes perfect sense. It's the investment required to build an engine that can generate an extra $200 million in recurring revenue year after year.
And we can get even more specific. Let's slice that big number in half, $100 million.
That is the company's stated goal for just one of those new product lines, the PNT services coming from that tiny chip we just saw. They believe that business, all by itself, will be a $100 million a year business by 2030. That just shows you the incredible scale of the new markets they're jumping into.
So it all comes together, right? 2026 isn't about the numbers for 2026. It's about laying the foundation, setting the chessboard for 2030 and beyond.
And that comes straight from the top. The CEO, Matt Desch, is framing this exactly as it is. Not a slowdown, but a deliberate, strategic investment into the company's biggest and best opportunities for growth. It's a clear statement of their long-term vision. Which brings us right back to our big question. When you look past the flat 2026 guidance, what you see is a company making some massive, calculated bets on the future of IoT, secure navigation, and connecting everything everywhere. The pieces are being placed on the board this year. The question now is, will these moves successfully turn Iridium into the indispensable backbone for the autonomous world that's coming?